Good morning. 14 days ago, I posted a for sale listing for the van that I'd been living in for 2 years. 12 days ago, I dropped that van off to its new owner in Seattle, Washington. 11 days ago, I hopped on a plane in Seattle and I flew over 3,000 miles to the furthest airport that I could in the continental US to attempt to purchase a rundown truck that I hoped might eventually become my dream rig. Now, I'm not going to spoil the ending, but what I will say is that this story has a pretty damn good beginning. I don't know, I kind of just have faith that I'm on this journey for a reason. With the sliding door working outside. That's all I'm going to say about it right now. The immediate next step, though, is to drive this little dude across the country. This is so ridiculous. Hello. Hi. I've spent the last couple of days in a hotel room just kind of decompressing, living out of suitcases. Today, I was planning on sitting in bed and editing. Like, I wasn't gonna go anywhere, I wasn't gonna do anything. But then I hopped on Craigslist and I came across this listing that, to be honest, it didn't stick out to me at all. Like, when I pulled it up for the first time, my brain wasn't like, oh, that's the one, or let's go see it. Probably because it was listed in Orlando, Florida, and there was like no part of me that was like, let's go fly to Orlando. And yet here I am, about to order an Uber to go fly to Orlando. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
My story with life on the road began 6 years ago when I was in high school. I was in my hometown of Monterey the fall after all of my friends graduated from high school and I was left behind. I ended up in one of my loneliest moments packing up my old family's Prius to go on a road trip alone. I made a temporary bed and kitchen and closet storage. I threw one of my dad's red kayaks up on the roof and off I went into the sunset. It ended up only being like a 4-night trip alone, staying in KOAs all over Northern California. But it was so much more important to me than I had the words to describe to anybody in my life at the time. It was that trip where I fell in love with the road, and it was that trip where I decided that I was going to dedicate a period of my life after high school to traveling. 6 months later, of course, scrolling on YouTube, I found out about the whole van life thing, and I was sold. I spent the next 3.5 years saving, working, going to school, checking Craigslist almost daily. And in May of 2019, I finally bought my first van. That van was so right, and it was so wrong. I don't really know if there's such thing as wrong, but there were definitely a lot of challenges that ultimately ended up just being hard lessons. Something that I thought would be an independent journey turned into a shared experience. A build that I thought would empower me left me feeling more than slightly incapable. But in the end, that van also taught me that I have the power to decide how I view different situations. Anyways, it took me 2 full years of living and traveling in that van to seriously consider the idea of taking on a rig upgrade. But the idea of taking on a van build alone just still felt incredibly impossible. At some point though, I'm not really sure why it happened, but I started watching a few handymans on YouTube, and as I started watching, I started tinkering around with the van that I had, just trying to understand how things work, making little upgrades here and there. And the more I learned and watched and tinkered, the more I found myself itching to fix more and change more. And then I had a moment where I realized that a van build no longer scared the crap out of me, and the moment that I realized that, I scrambled to get the van ready to list so that I could sell it before I changed my mind. And so I did. I listed and I sold the van. And then I flew to Florida. Why Florida was what everybody in my life was asking me. has been asking me the last couple of weeks. And I guess I'll try to explain what I explained to them. A few weeks ago, as I was getting the van ready to sell, I made a pact with myself to treat my life sorta kinda like a 39 Clues novel. I still don't know how to explain it very well, but I basically decided that I wanted to spend the next few years chasing love in any form that it comes in. I'm not talking about romance, I'm saying that if something lights me up inside, sparks intrigue or interest, I want to go chase that light. Anyways, that day that I called that guy in Orlando about that rig, I also called a few mechanics in the area to inquire about getting a third-party inspection. And one of the conversations with one mechanic in particular left this nagging feeling in my head, this feeling that if I was living my life like an adventure novel, I would fly to Florida and meet this mechanic. Yeah, nobody understood that explanation when I gave it either, but I did. And so I flew our butts to Florida, and there I saw the truck and I took it to the mechanic, and he was just as amazing as I thought he would be. He treated me like a daughter. He just took care of us, and I thought that I was flying to Florida like for no reason. I thought that I was gonna get there and the mechanic would say like the truck was too old for me to drive across the country. But to my surprise, this guy gave it a green light. We did a thing, Finn. Yeah, so this little dude is officially mine. I don't even have the words, to be honest, except I'm excited. Are those the right words? Probably. I'm really excited and I'm really far from home. Let's just go ahead and give a little tour, shall we? And yes, the U-Haul rental was foreshadowing. This is a 2006 old U-Haul. It was a U-Haul until 2021, but for the last couple of years, it's been owned by a couple dudes in Florida. After living in a van for 2.5 years, I decided that I just kind of didn't want another van for a lot of different reasons, but the biggest, I would say, is the width of a van. It's just really skinny. I wanted to be able to live in like an apartment feeling thing instead of like something that felt like a vehicle. Because it is the length that it is, I can basically do a layout where I have a kitchen, I have a desk, I have a whole closet, I have a fireplace, I have a couch that doubles as a bed, that triples as a bathtub with a sliding door looking outside. And if that layout doesn't sell you on why I'm upgrading to this rig, then I don't know what will, because frankly, that's like the reason that I'm upgrading. How Finn? We are upgrading so that we can have an actual home. An actual home. Is there anything else to say about this? I feel like this is such a big deal, but it's also not, because it's only the very, very beginning. There's just so much that has to be done before we get into any of the exciting things. Although I guess the journey in and of itself is exciting, so I don't know. I am still not positive if this is a great idea to turn a box truck into a home. There's a lot of things that I have to like get done before I can even start building that I'm a little bit stressed out about, but also, I don't know. I just kind of have faith that I'm on this journey for a reason, so stay tuned to see how So yeah, now we're here in this big empty box truck, and I have no idea what the heck the future has in store for us. All I know is that I'm intrigued by the idea of learning how to work with my hands, and that's where I'm gonna start. Do I know where I'm gonna build this thing? No. Do I know if I'm gonna do it by myself? Also no. I'm pretty much open to anything at this point, but the immediate next step once I got to Florida was to drive this dude home to the West Coast. And that was pretty intimidating. Drive. Tonight I'm driving all the way to New Orleans. So goodbye Florida, hello Louisiana. I've got 6 hours until I get there. useful. Ooh, I don't know where I'm going. To the beach. I'm going to the beach. Look at how cute. Pretty much every step of the way, from the moment that I decided to list the van to the moment that I bought the new truck, I knew that I was making the decision to leave behind pretty much every form of comfort. About a week before I sold the van, I said goodbye to all of my friends, and once I sold the van, I started living out of suitcases, hopping around hotels in the SeaTac area. By the time that I got to the East Coast and bought the new truck, I was sick of living in hotels. I wanted nothing more than to just start living in here, but unfortunately for safety reasons, I couldn't. I was about 2,800 miles away from a place that had the tools and electricity that I needed to be able to make it safe. So those 2,800 miles became pretty much my only focus for like 3 days. I started driving and just kind of didn't stop, from Pensacola to Austin, from Austin to Arizona, and by the time that I got to the border of Arizona and California, I was emotionally and physically just ready to be in a familiar bed. Hello, good morning. Not morning, night, very night. I just decided like 2 minutes ago that I'm going to drive the rest of the way home. I've had enough of hotels. I can't do another one. I genuinely cannot explain why. I really want to sleep in a familiar bed, and I also want to like have a home cooked meal tomorrow morning. This is going to be interesting because the entire box portion is loaded up with thousands of pounds of furniture. It just so worked out that one of my friends is moving from Texas to California, so it's loaded up as a moving truck right now. It hasn't been an issue yet, but California has a few mountainous passes that I have to get through, and yeah, if this car was going to have an issue, it would be like tonight. So I'm a little bit worried, is all I'm gonna say. Okay, goodbye. I haven't said it until right now because I haven't wanted to jinx it or get too ahead of myself, but at this point, although it's becoming incredibly obvious that the road ahead is going to be a long one with this truck, I am 100% certain that I made the right decision. I made the right choice for us getting this truck. This truck is a little bit older, a little bit less reliable, at least for now. It definitely has a lot more scratches and bumps and bruises than Henry had, but I can't help feeling like this truck is somehow more me than the van ever was, and I don't know how to put that into words. It's just a feeling, I guess. But yeah, anyways, I do believe that this truck's name is going to be Steve. Yeah, that's all I got. I'm gonna go sleep for like 17 hours now.